Hey guys, I'm super excited. Today we'll have an interview with Ron from Michigan, USA, and he grows a famous highland Nepenthes. He grows Nepenthes hamata or hamata on his windowsill without a crazy setup, just like regular plants. So we will learn a lot. So coming up. So first, thank you for accepting to share how you grow your plants home, your Nepenthes. Today it's going to be about famous species, sorry, to that nobody think it's possible to grow on a windowsill. That's the famous hamata. That is supposed to be a full island with the constant humidity. So basically everyone grow it on the terrarium or greenhouse, but you do grow it on a windowsill. So please introduce yourself and we'll start from there.
Well, my name is Ron Dudek and I live in Southwest Michigan, and I started growing my hamata in 2006.
Okay. Why did you choose hamata?
Well, Peter D'Amato's book, of course, made that famous comment about hamata, that if it ever went up and start walking, we'd have to worry. And I was friends with the folks that own Saracenian Northwest out in Oregon, and they were selling them about that time. So I was able to get one. I believe I paid $85 for it when I first got it in a little 3-inch pot. And I just wanted to see if it was possible to reacclimate it to houseplant growing. I think I got lucky.
Yeah, that's impressive. If it was not on video, I would almost not believe in it. It's against everything I heard so far. So how did you do that?
Well, what happened is I moved between 2006 and 2007. The house I had originally when I bought that had a basement, and it was a constant 65 degrees in the basement. And I was going to grow it in a terrarium under lights, and thought that would be the way to grow it. And then we moved at the end of 2006 and 2007, and the house I'm in now has no basement, has a crawl space. So I just assumed that I would try to keep it as long as possible, and it would probably die because I didn't have a cool room in the house. So the room we're in now is where I grow the bulk of my tropical plants. It's got 2 skylights in it, and it's got a south-facing wall with 2 windows, and it has a west-facing wall with 2 windows. And what I did is I created a type of terrarium that I could slowly increase or actually reduce the humidity over time. And so what I did when I moved in, I put it in the terrarium on the west-facing window, and it has blinds on it. And I'll show you the terrarium in a moment. And what I did is over a period of several months, I raised the lid to gradually decrease the humidity that was in there. And to my shock, over the first year, it acclimated and it didn't die. And then about 2 years here, I removed it from the west-facing window in that terrarium now with the lid completely up. And I put it in my south-facing window, and I put it in a hanging pot at that point. And it just exploded. I mean, it literally exploded in growth over the next several months, and I've never had to remove it since then. So it's been in that window from about 2009 all the way till today. And I've taken, I think about 30 cuttings off it total.
What kind of temperature do you have day and night?
This is interesting because if you read anything on hamatas, they claim you have to have a large temperature swing. So in the winter months, the temperature in that window will go from about 63 to no more than 68. Now, in the summer months, it'll drop down to 68 and go about to 82 to 84. And that's the swing. It doesn't swing any further than that. We had one summer, I think it was 2012, where my central air conditioning went out on Memorial Day weekend. It went out on like Saturday morning. So it got up to 94 degrees in this room. And again, I didn't do anything special. And it tolerated 94 degrees pretty steadily, maybe with a drop down to the low 80s for those 3 days until I got it repaired. So it
Wow.
shows that they have a much wider range that they can tolerate than is typically expected.
Wow. Really impressive. And the humidity?
This will kill you. This house has gas forced air heat. So in the wintertime, it can drop as low as 18, 16% if the heat's firing up in this room. And maybe go as high as 50, where in the summer months when I've got more water over there, because I'm keeping the plants a little more hydrated, 55% maybe tops, 60% tops. But it's tolerated, and I documented this with photographs, as low as 16%, and that would be ambient humidity with the hot air blowing, gas forced air heat blowing.
Wow. And you didn't had something wrong with it? Like
No.
they are supposed to be paper thin and not keeping moisture.
Never.
Everything I heard.
I have documented photographs every season, and the plants look beautiful. Now, what happened when I took the last round of cuttings, which was about 4 years ago, I cut it all the way to the soil. I mean, I literally took every vine off of it right down to the soil level, and it's slow to recover. I'll bring the camera over. You'll see it's got 4 pictures on it now, but it's got 2 nice vines growing. But before that last group of cuttings, I had vines all the way to the ceiling, 4 of them that were spread out with beautiful pictures on them. And that's when I chose to take those cuttings and sell them. But we'll take a look in a moment. It doesn't have as many pictures, but the ones it has are absolutely gorgeous. And they're fully formed with good color and good thickness.
Thickness is always really thin, right? I never had hamata, pure hamata, I mean.
Would you like to see it right now?
Oh, yes, I would.
Let's take a walk. Now, let me show you something else that's quite fascinating. This did not happen in the first group of vines. I now have an aerial rosette forming here. And you can see there's an adult plant picture up here. There are 2 more forming here and here. That did not happen in the last group of vines that I had. That's new.
Okay.
And I've noticed there's another one forming here. So this is very interesting. Didn't happen in the first several years. Now, everybody keeps contacting me on Facebook about buying cuttings. And I've made it clear I'm not taking any cuttings off this particular group until it flowers. It hasn't flowered for me yet.
Okay.
And I think that when I removed all the vines twice, I've done that.
Yeah.
It probably affected that, but I'm not doing anything till it flowers.
I
I did save
right.
one of them, and I did save, we'll take this back. This is one of the cuttings that I kept for me. And you can see these are beautiful 4-inch pictures. They are absolutely stunning. And all of that was done on that windowsill. Everything you've seen here was done on that windowsill. You still hearing me, Remy?
Yes, I do.
I get offers for this particular cutting constantly. One of the other challenges.
I would buy
one of the challenges. You wouldn't even believe the numbers people throw at me, but it's not going anywhere. I'm keeping that until I get a flower off of the mother. One of the challenges that this window does present, you'll see those trees in the background.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, the sun drops below that tree line.
Okay.
So that does not get any direct sun on this window in the wintertime when the sun would be low enough in the sky. Then in the summer months, the sun goes high enough in the sky where it doesn't come straight in through the window. But there's a period of several weeks where the sun is coming from the east going west, where it'll come in like you see it now, making direct contact. And sometimes I can get some leaf burn from that.
Oh.
So what I've created, and I may be putting this in, is I've made a diffuser. And I'll put that in the window to diffuse the direct sunlight for these several weeks when it's coming in strong like this. And that'll help prevent any leaf burn. But it doesn't, the plant doesn't die, but I'll get a little burning on the edges of the leaves because, it changes the sunlight so rapidly.
Okay. I see some lights.
The way I want. Yeah, and what I did, if you don't have, especially when I say that the sun doesn't hit this window in the wintertime, I think it was about 2012, I put a couple lights in. And what that does, it keeps the plant picturing through the winter months. So the plant did fine for those first couple of years here without them, but I noticed that with the lights on, 14 hours during the winter, I get a little extra growth that I would not be getting without those lights. So these lights are on 14 hours. This is another little bit of debate. These are nothing more than 100-watt equivalent LED daylight bulbs. They grow, all the plants grow beautiful under these. I wouldn't waste a nickel on those red, blue, grow lights they sell. These do absolutely beautiful. And any plant will grow under them. I'll show you one of my other growing areas just to give you some proof. You've got cephalotus, helianthera, brocchinia, all grow beautiful under these plain lights. You can see the color on the cephalotus is very stunning. And they'll even flower under these. That's one of my secrets right there. Don't waste money on grow lights. Don't waste any money on grow lights. These will do just fine for you. You can buy them at Walmart.
And these lights are on all year round, or just for the winter months?
Yeah, all year round. Now I'll go from 14 hours to 16 hours when we get to the summer, but they're on for a minimum of 14 through the winter. And so I've just noticed that I get better, I get continual growth, because even though it's a tropical plant, they do go to a type of dormancy without the lights. They will slow their growth down quite a bit. So this really seems to help keep them growing.
Hey guys, I interrupt this interview a minute to ask you a favor. Could you please like this video and consider subscribing, hitting the little bell? That's the best way for you to see more and more interviews like that. And by the way, if you grow your Nepenthes on your windowsill and you want to share how you do that, please contact me and I will be more than happy to interview you.
And then what I do is I put a bucket below, and about 3 times a week, just run some water right through. I like to move it all the way around.
What kind of substrate do
By
you
the
have?
way, coconut chips.
100% coconut?
100% shredded coconut. And
Okay.
Believe it or not, when I had it in the long fibered sphagnum, it was a little slower. When I switched to coconut about 2011, 2012, that's when that explosive growth took place. They seem to really love this. And you don't have to change it, but every 5 or 6 years. It lasts a long time. Taking this all in, Remy?
Okay, yeah, I'm taking notes. Now I want to try.
Finally, I've got my ventricosa. The ventricosa seems to like it as well, but I think it's the best substrate for Nepenthes that you can possibly get would be coconut chips.
Any brand you recommend?
I bought this original batch twice through repotme.com. So I don't know if it's a brand, but the story that it's loaded with salts, that's absolutely false. They wash it multiple times before they sell it. So it's not loaded with salts. That's another one of the myths. And you get it. And one of the issues you can have with coconut is that it's a little bit pre-wetted when you buy it. So if you leave it around in a sealed package for too long, you'll get a slime mold that forms on it. So if you're not going to use it right away, you can pour it into an open tray, like an old Tupperware tub or a Rubbermaid, and let it dry out, and then you can put it back in the bag. But the people that claim that they had trouble with it were leaving it sealed in the bag when they received it for months on end. I did that once too, and you end up with slime mold. And but actually, it's really a good substrate. I think it's the best for Nepenthes.
Okay, so I will try to get my hand on it.
Yeah, for a while there, I've got a friend that works for Jiffy. You familiar with Jiffy products?
Some, yeah.
And so he visits those coconut groves where they actually manufacture that. And due to COVID, it was all shut down last year, so it's kind of hard to find. But it's coming back into the market again now.
Okay, really interesting.
This was the humidity chamber I made. It's just basically a 2.5-gallon fish tank. And what I did is I made a cover that was just slightly larger than the top of the tank, so that when you put it on, there's air that can get around it. And I put these little beads on top of it, so it's slightly raised, so it wasn't totally stuffy, and sealed. And then over a period of several months, I just kept raising it. And I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but it's the way I chose, and it worked out.
Yes, it worked.
So for acclimating.
Okay, interesting. So wow, that's really. I will try to learn from it. So yeah, for me, I was thinking the thicker the pitcher or the leaves are, the better. It was keeping moisture. But so like maybe a low EI would accept better windowsill than a hamata. But yeah, you just proved the opposite. So
I got challenged a lot. When I put this on Facebook, I was challenged a lot. And I do everything with photographs and videos, and the proof is there. So it can be done. So what that, and by the way, like if you know Jeremiah Harris, he's got some beautiful hamata. There, I think in in a natural, more moist environment, you get better growth. There's no question there. But I don't have that, and I wanted to find out if I could create a hamata or acclimate a hamata to the house I live in, without having to turn this into a tropical room. So yes, we now know that there's a wider range that this plant can survive, and that was the goal. So now I can have a hamata on my windowsill and have fun with it. But you know, when I sold those cuttings, I'll be honest with you, I made a good deal. They were very profitable to have. I just wish they would do it more often, but it's not a very fast-growing plant.
Yeah, but again, that's a cutting of a plant that is used to windowsill. That's definitely something new. And again, if I was not in Canada, I would buy some, but there is no way living plants cross the border. So I just watch your pictures. If you were to give an advice to somebody that wants to start maybe highland Nepenthes on the windowsill, what would it be?
Really, this is whether you want to try, and I see this is what I didn't want to do. People will buy that type of plant, and then they want to create the environment that the plant came from, you know, or from its natural habitat. If you want to do that with misters and things like that, and that's a different story. But if you want to try what I did, and I get this question an awful lot on Facebook, I can't tell you how many times I've gone through this scenario, would be to something like this, which I would call it, you know, like a humidity chamber, and then work slowly at acclimating the plant to less humidity. Because several of the people that have contacted me, they've got their hamata basically in a sealed jar. And that's never going to be good for the plant. The humidity is too high, the leaves are going to get soft, and you want to be able to expose it to a little sunlight like I've got going here. That's always going to be good for the plant. But my advice would be find out how it was grown from the grower you got it from, and try to keep that condition, at least initially, and then work slowly at reducing the humidity so that you can now have it grow in the ambient, you know, humidity and temperature of your home. That's what I would say.
Okay, wow, that's really, you like challenge, obviously, but that's a great success.
I think I want to try Raja next, but it may take this whole room, and my wife's been pretty patient about that. But I would like to try Raja in some part of this house, see if I can get a picture that big, you know.
I don't have any more questions. Do you want to add something?
No, I just say thank you very much for the opportunity to share the experience. I hope it helps other growers to do this. That'll mean more carnivorous plants in people's homes, and that's always a good thing because it keeps it keeps our different species alive and propagated. And I think for kids, it's one of the greatest ways to get children into science that there is. My grandkids come over and just love to throw bugs in these plants. So,
how do you feed them?
Box elder bugs. Oh my goodness. We have box elder bugs on our garage, and there are times I'll catch 50, 60 of them. And we do feed them when we have them, but I don't go out of my way, to feed them very much. There might be a winter or two if I'm down near PetSmart, I'll grab some small crickets, but I don't make a real effort to feed them.
And you never use fertilizer?
Never, never.
And you don't have a fogger, right? Humidifier.
No.
Wow. So that's
I don't want to turn my living room into a tropical area. I want to see this plant thrive in this environment, and that's the goal.
Well, you succeed. So that's great. So thank you for this interview. And yes, you show that we can adapt a plant that is not supposed to live in a windowsill if we take the time to acclimate plants. So that's really great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Remy. It was a pleasure. Really, thank you very much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Me too. Thank you very much and have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. I learned so much from the light to the substrates to the fact that you can train a plant to change his habits and grow perfectly on a windowsill. I definitely want to try. First, I will try my WiFi, and I plan to buy a hamata like as soon as I can. Let me know in the comments if you already tried to adapt a plant to your setup. I would be happy to discuss how you did it. So until next time, happy growing.